There's a moment almost every seasoned man has lived through, even if he never mentions it. You're going about your day, grabbing a coffee, choosing a book, paying for groceries, when a younger woman glances at you, just a little longer than expected, and smiles. And your first instinct is to brush it off. Maybe it was courtesy and she was just being friendly. Maybe it meant nothing, because somewhere along the journey of becoming a grown man, you learn a quiet, unspoken rule. Don't assume anyone notices you anymore. If that line stings a little, it's probably because you've felt it in your own skin. But what if that rule was never true? What if that brief smile wasn't random at all? What if she wasn't reacting to your age, but to the way you move through the world now? A younger woman doesn't smile because you're trying to impress her. She smiles because you're not. Because there's a steadiness in the way you stand, a calm in the way you speak. It's not about flirting. It's not a signal to chase anything. It's recognition. The kind people give to someone who carries quiet confidence without announcing it. The truth is simple. Experience changes the way a man enters a room. Pain tempers his reactions. Loss teaches him patience. Responsibility sharpens his awareness. And long before anyone sees your age, they feel that energy. So maybe, just maybe, that smile wasn't a mistake. Maybe it was a reminder of something you forgot while carrying the weight of all those years. You're not invisible, you've simply grown quieter. And the right people still notice. The moment most men misinterpret, most men don't realize how often they misread the world around them. A younger woman smiles, and instead of letting the moment land, you immediately turn it into something smaller. You tell yourself she was smiling at the floor, or the customer behind you, or just being polite. You downplay it before your mind can even process it. A smile from a younger woman isn't a romantic invitation. It isn't a test. It's something far simpler and far more meaningful. She noticed your presence before you noticed hers. She's reacting to how controlled your energy feels. But here's the part most men never admit. It's not her smile you don't believe in. It's yourself you've carried so much for so long that you've slowly convinced your mind to filter out anything positive directed your way. You assume every gesture is accidental because believing otherwise feels risky. She's not reacting to your age, she's reading your energy. Most men think people look at their face first. Well, they don't. They look at the way you carry yourself, the way you enter a room, the way your presence settles into the space before you say a single word. A younger woman isn't scanning for youth, she's scanning for stability, and a steady man stands out without lifting a finger. Your posture speaks before your voice does. It's the same way people can tell you've had a long day just by the way you close your car door. Your composure says more than any polished line ever could. There's something unmistakable about a man who has learned how to conserve his fire. He doesn't burn wildly, he burns steadily. Younger men often radiate movement. Older men radiate direction. And direction is what her nervous system responds to, even if she doesn't consciously understand it. That quiet discipline changed the way you stand, the way you breathe, the way you exist. So when someone smiles at you, she's reacting to what life has carved into you. Not the number on your ID. That smile isn't about the years behind you. It's about the man those years have sculpted, and that man is still seen. What life's hard moments quietly teach a man? There's something about a man who's lived through enough real challenges that changes the way he moves in the world. This chapter isn't about what you do. It's about what life has carved inside you. Not in a dramatic way, but in a subtle shift that you only notice when you stand close enough. Life has a simple way of trimming down what no longer fits you. Often without asking, the noise that used to bother him doesn't shake him the same way. The chaos that once pulled him in now gets filtered out before it reaches his chest. That kind of internal refinement can't be faked. You don't buy it or practice it in a mirror. You earn it by getting through situations that once felt impossible. And this is where people, not just women, feel something different around you. They sense the steadiness that comes from a man who has carried his share of uncertainty without losing himself. They notice the way you respond instead of react, the way you measure your words, the way you refuse to let frustration own your mood. For the next 24 hours, notice every time you choose patience over pride and see how the world responds. Younger men usually have the fire. Older men know where to place it. You already know these things. I'm not teaching you, I'm just naming what you've lived. And that difference changes how others read your presence. A person who has been hurt but remained kind gives off a very particular energy. A person who has failed but kept trying walks with a different rhythm. Men don't always notice small signals. We're great at fixing things, but terrible at realizing someone smiled at us. Half the time we assume she's looking at the guy behind us, until we realize she wasn't, and suddenly we don't know where to put our hands. Men can rebuild an entire engine, but can't read a smile to save their life. I once knew a man who was let go on an ordinary afternoon. No warning, no noise, just a quiet turn in his path. He didn't complain or break down. He walked home, slowed his breathing, and mapped out his next step. 3 months later, he was back on solid ground, calmer, sharper, and more centered than before. A person who has lost things he cared about, yet still wakes up determined, carries a depth you don't find in someone untouched by struggle. The best part? You didn't build this version of yourself to impress anyone. You built it to survive, to keep going, to stay true to who you are, even when life made that difficult. So when a stranger's expression softens for a moment, don't assume it's an accident. You're not being idealized. You're being acknowledged for the kind of resilience that can't be taught. Only lived life carves something solid in you. People can feel it, and even the smallest smile is sometimes just a quiet way of saying, I see it too. If that line feels a little too real, you're not the only one. Men like us understand it quietly. If this part spoke to you, let it show. Why being capable changes how people respond to you. Before we go deeper, here's something most men overlook about themselves. There's a certain ease that shows up in a man once he knows he can handle his own life. This part is no longer about inner battles. It's about the skills you've built, the competence people can actually see. Not confidence in the loud sense, but a grounded, natural competence that doesn't need to prove anything. You can see it in the way he handles small problems, in the way he chooses solutions instead of frustration, in the way he keeps things moving without making a scene. People notice that. You don't just feel different, you look different. The way you lift things, the way you assess problems, the way your hands move with certainty, that's what people read first, long before they notice your age, and especially those who spend their days surrounded by uncertainty. Most men underestimate how visible responsibility looks on them. Years of showing up, fixing things, making decisions, carrying what needed to be carried. It leaves a mark, not a physical one, but a certain tone in the way you operate. You've dealt with enough unexpected situations that even when things go wrong, you don't lose your center. And that steadiness creates a feeling that others pick up before they realize it. Here's the part most men never credit themselves for. Your ability didn't come from talent. It came from repetition. It came from years of solving problems no one else saw. And all those years of doing what had to be done created a presence that others can read instantly. Competence isn't flashy, it doesn't shout, it doesn't demand applause, but it does something far more powerful. It earns quiet trust. So when someone looks at you with a soft expression, don't overthink it. They're responding to the steadiness you built brick by brick, moment by moment, through every challenge you didn't walk away from. You didn't become capable for admiration. You became capable because life required it. But the recognition you receive now, even in something as small as a smile, is part of the return you've put in the work. People can feel it. When a man forgets his own worth, he diminishes his entire aura. My friend, when was the last time you gave yourself even a single word of praise? There's a shift that happens inside a man when he goes too long without recognizing his own value. He doesn't collapse. He doesn't fall apart. He simply starts shrinking in ways he doesn't notice. A little less eye contact here, a quieter tone there, a habit of stepping aside instead of stepping forward. And the strange part is this: the world didn't push him into the background. He placed himself there. Say this under your breath: I'm still here and I still carry weight. I deserve to take up space in my own life. Now say it again, slow, steady, and notice how your chest lifts without trying. There's a man I often see at the local pharmacy picking up his prescriptions. Always quiet, always polite, and every single time, the young cashier greets him with a warmer smile than she gives anyone else. She remembers his name, asks how his week has been, even slows down her pace when he steps forward. He never thinks twice about it. He just assumes she treats everyone that kindly, even though she doesn't. A younger woman's gentle smile sometimes comes when she sees something in you that you no longer acknowledge. She catches a glimpse of capability, patience, or quiet intelligence. Qualities you forget you carry because they've become routine. But if your inner dialogue tells you you're fading, you'll misread every gesture around you. You'll interpret warmth as coincidence. You'll assume kindness is generic. You'll discard anything positive before it reaches your chest. If you ignore your own significance, you'll misinterpret every sign sent your way. So when someone looks at you with a warm expression, don't push it aside. They're not imagining something. They're seeing what you stopped seeing. And reclaiming that truth doesn't require noise or bravado. It only requires one honest admission. You still carry something valuable, and it's time you stop minimizing it. And if you're here listening to this, it already tells me something about you. Men who carry this kind of depth walk the same path. You're in the right place. How you treat people reveals a different kind of strength. Do you notice how certain men change the atmosphere simply by the way they treat others? Isn't it interesting how a small act of courtesy can catch someone's attention without you trying? And doesn't it say something when respect leaves a stronger impression than any bold display of ego? There's a quiet form of strength that only shows up in the way a man interacts with the world, not in big speeches or bold gestures. Others notice you stay calm during a misunderstanding, and they see emotional maturity. Most men underestimate how visible their everyday behavior is, but the world is always watching the small details, because that's where your real character shows. Younger men often try to impress through display. Grown men impress through consistency. People remember the man who didn't raise his voice when he easily could have. That kind of restraint isn't softness, it's seasoned strength. They remember the man who treated every person as if they mattered. Sometimes that's all it takes for someone to offer a soft smile your way. A moment of recognition for the rare kind of strength that doesn't need applause. And the best part, you don't need to perform anything to earn it. You're simply being the man life has shaped you into. A man whose respect for others quietly reflects the respect he has learned to hold for himself. The stillness in a man changes how people experience him. Pause with me for a second. You've probably lived this without naming it. Here's the part nobody tells men about getting older. I once saw a man walk into a small cafe with the kind of steady pace only life experience teaches you. No rush, no tension, just careful, deliberate steps. And somehow the whole place softened a little as he passed by. The funny thing is we move carefully because we've lived long enough to avoid needless trouble, yet somehow that caution ends up looking attractive to them. There's a certain stillness a seasoned man carries, the kind that comes from no longer rushing through every moment. He moves at his own pace, not slow, not hesitant, just deliberate. And that rhythm creates an atmosphere people can feel before they even understand why. Even your biology slows in the right ways. Your steps land softer, your breathing steadies sooner, your shoulders settle faster. People don't see the science behind it, but they feel the effect. I'm here, I'm solid, I'm not going anywhere. People pick up on that, not because you're performing it, but because it radiates from you naturally. It's the kind of steadiness people notice even when you're not looking. And here's the truth. Many men never credit themselves for. Your stillness isn't the absence of pressure. It's the result of having carried pressure long enough to no longer fear it. That's why someone might smile at you without knowing exactly why. They're reacting to the ease you've fought years to build. The world rarely pauses for anyone. But when you bring your own sense of calm into the room, the world pauses for you, even if only for a moment. And that moment says more about your presence than anything you could try to prove. The way a man listens says more than his words ever could. Think about it for a moment. It took you years to master the ability to truly listen, something most younger men haven't learned yet. Not the polite kind of listening, not the waiting for his turn kind of listening, but the genuine quiet focus that makes the other person feel like they matter. And it's strange how rare that has become. Most people today talk fast, interrupt fast, react fast. But a man who listens with intention stands out without trying. His silence isn't empty, it's inviting. His attention isn't passive, it's steady. And people feel safer around someone who doesn't turn every conversation into a contest. I once saw an older man talking to a young clerk on his first day. He didn't rush him or correct him, just waited, calm and patient. By the end, the kid was smiling like he finally belonged there. It's strange how simply letting someone finish a sentence can feel like a superpower these days. That's the effect of a man who listens well. He stabilizes the moment instead of competing with it. People notice when they can speak without being rushed. They notice when their words aren't being judged. They notice when someone is really there with them. Even a younger woman's warm smile sometimes comes from that alone. She sees a man who isn't scrambling to fill silence, a man who gives conversations space to breathe, a man who isn't threatened by pauses. Listening is a form of confidence, and confidence that doesn't need volume carries weight. So if someone offers you a soft smile after you've said very little, don't overthink it. They might simply be responding to the comfort your presence gives them, the comfort of being heard without effort, seen without pressure, and valued without noise. That kind of listening can't be faked, and it can't be taught quickly. It's earned over years of choosing steadiness over reaction, understanding over ego, and truth over noise. And whether you notice it or not, people feel it. And if any part of this reminds you of your own journey, say it in your own way. Men grow better when they put their truth somewhere, even if it's just a single line. A man who knows what he won't tolerate becomes rare. I remember the moment I stepped into midlife and stopped bending myself to please everyone around me. I started saying no more often, and some people called me colder. Yet a few began giving me quiet smiles I couldn't quite explain. And I believe you have noticed that in yourself too. A man who knows what he won't tolerate moves differently. His boundaries aren't walls, they're quiet standards. A man with clear limits doesn't argue, plead, or chase. He simply walks with a kind of certainty that says, I've lived enough life to know what's worth my time. That certainty is magnetic. Not loud, not flashy, just grounded. The kind of grounded that comes from years of understanding what drains you and what strengthens you. So if someone gives you a warm smile for no obvious reason, don't be surprised. It might not be flirtation. It might just be recognition. A small nod to the quiet truth you now embody. You're no longer a man trying to be everything for everyone. You're a man who knows who he is, what he accepts, and what he will never allow again. And that kind of self-respect doesn't just show, it resonates. You earned those boundaries the hard way. Don't forget they're a sign of growth, not distance. Have you noticed this shift in yourself too? There's something you need to remember before this moment ends. The world hasn't stopped seeing you. If anything, it's noticing you in ways you no longer notice yourself. All those years of carrying a responsibility, rebuilding after setbacks, learning how to stay calm, learning what matters and what doesn't. They've shaped you into a man who brings steadiness into every room he enters. You don't have to perform that. It's already in the way you walk, the way you listen, the way you choose your words. And sometimes that quiet strength reaches someone else before it reaches you. A softer smile, a longer glance, a moment of recognition you weren't expecting. Not because you're trying to be impressive, but because you've lived enough life to carry something real. So if you leave this video with only one thought, let it be this: you haven't faded, you've refined. You've become the kind of man time tries to shape, but only a few ever become. And the world responds differently to a man who knows who he is, what he stands for, and what he no longer chases. And the more you stand like that, the more you quietly make life better for the people around you too. Walk into the rest of your week and with that truth in your chest, not loudly, not proudly, just steadily, the way men like you do. Because you are not invisible, you're just finally becoming clear. And remember, the point of all this isn't to be noticed. Attention is just a side effect. Living with principle is the goal. Thank you for spending this time with me and with Move or Die Stoic.